Today, if you have relatives who weren't able to make it today or friends and family in other countries, we are live streaming today's event. You can tell them to go to YouTube and type in QSI Astana graduation 2019. So QSI graduation 2019, and we will be having that live stream. It'll also be available on YouTube so that you can see it later. Our tech guys have done a great job of getting it up and running, and we will get started here right now. Graduates, you may be seated. Good afternoon and welcome, parents, students, distinguished members of our advisory board, classmates, and for today, and most importantly, our graduates. Today's ceremony will be a mix of short speeches by both faculty, students, and community members. As I reminded the group yesterday at practice, this is not a somber occasion, but one that is meant to be fun and full of joy. So let's begin the fun. Today, we have special guests, members of the Astana Philharmonic Orchestra, who will begin the ceremony with a small piece. Thank you so much for that wonderful piece. I would like to first introduce Dr. Kristen Applegate. Dr. Applegate serves as the Director of Instruction here at QSI Astana. I'm proud to say that Dr. Applegate has acted as a student advocate, and I'm continually impressed with her passion for making students not only better learners, but better people as well. Dr. Kristen Applegate.
Good afternoon. Graduation ceremonies are a time for celebration and also a time for giving thanks. Today, we are celebrating your successes, those on which you will continue to grow. For some of you, your next steps may already be determined, but for others, you may not know which way your path will take. Over the last few weeks, I've seen your enthusiasm for what you've accomplished. So I want to challenge you to take that enthusiasm out into the world and to use it to fulfill your goals. Today is also a time for thanking those who have helped you reach this milestone. Please join me in a round of applause for the teachers, friends, and family who supported you and started you on your journey. Our graduates would like to take a moment now to present a small token of appreciation to your families.
Обучение выпускников родителей, выпускниками школы, или обучение по средствам диплома.
Thank you, Dr. Applegate, and thank you, graduates. Next today, we have our 2019 faculty speaker, Ms. Harshita Tawani. Ms. Harshita has acted as a teacher and advisor to so many of our students on stage today. But in addition, she's been an advocate. I cannot count the number of times she's come into my office, usually very early in the morning, and given me a quick word about a student who's struggling, a student who might need a word of encouragement, or a student who might need that little push to get them through their secondary 4-year. Very few evenings go by when she isn't sending WhatsApp messages to our group chat saying, hey, check in with this kid, or his work isn't quite up to par. Her work is emblematic of the faculty and staff here at QSI Astana that every day work to make sure our children continue to grow as learners. So I'm proud today to introduce Ms. Harshita, not only as the faculty speaker, but in thanks for her service, caring, and passion for this year's secondary 4 students. Ms. Harshita.
Thank you for the kind words, Mr. Petterish. Honorable guests, parents, colleagues, Mr. Petterish, Dr. Applegate, and my dear students. A long, long time ago, when I was approached by my students about making the faculty speech on the event of the auspicious graduation 2019, I was elated but perturbed because public speaking is not something that comes naturally to me. It was daunting to think of a message that would be worthy of the occasion. In my head, I went through a list of all the people that have made a difference in my life, and whether there was a common thread that joined all of them. It took me time to realize that, stubborn that I was right from my childhood, I did not believe in what people said. To clarify, it wasn't so much what these people said, it was what they did that mattered. So all along, I had learned from my experiences and my interactions with some of these exemplary minds rather than from their teachings and preachings. Moving to Astana and beginning to work at QSI further affirmed my beliefs. It gave me immense pleasure to learn that QSI accorded great importance to its students developing critical thinking and not taking things at their face value. And then they wonder why we don't have uniforms. It's like Mr. Schenk's analogy of feet beneath desk not corresponding to the amount of work done in any organization. I concluded that there was no need to advise this group of exuberant minds that have been, for the past 18 years, nurtured by eminent community members, accomplished teachers, and parents that have been fully invested in their upbringing and education. So what I hope to do today is to share some of my experiences and what I learned from them in the hope that these brilliant young women and men will be able to reflect on theirs and chart their path for future growth. My most vivid but my least favorite memory was one during my teenage years. I was constantly pushing my limits with my parents. The details would be hard to share here as they are contextual and difficult to understand given the time and occasion. Long story short, I couldn't make it to my Reach college despite being accepted there unconditionally. Yes, it was a mistake that I learned a big life lesson from. Now I would like you to go back and think about all the times I said the word experience today and replace it with the word mistake to see what I'm trying to get to. Mistakes that in my day and age were looked down upon and often unforgivable have been instrumental in shaping my present unbelievably. It is coincidental that educational researchers around the world are stressing on the importance of the beautiful experience called mistake? According to Joe Holler, a professor at Stanford Graduate School of Education, I quote, We are brought up in a performance culture in which mistakes are not valued, or worse, they are punished, unquote. Psychologist Jane Moser, that studied brain activity, found that our brains spark and grow when we make a mistake, whether or not we are aware that we are making that mistake. Bowler also points out one significant difference between people who have been successful and that who haven't. In a significant number of cases, she concludes that, I quote, what separates the more successful people from the less successful people is not the number of their successes, but the number of mistakes they make, with the more successful people making more mistakes, unquote. If I talk about my mistakes and do not mention the ones that I make in my classes on a daily basis, my revelation here would be incomplete. Starting this year, my class dojo behaviors earn my students 1 point for homework, 1 for solving a hard challenge problem, but 2 points for correcting my mistakes or the mistakes made by expert authors of the books. Dear parents, you may not be thrilled to know that Sarah Enns alone has amassed a total of 184 points over the period of this year. Fortunately, don't panic yet. Fortunately, most of my students go to Dr. Heraldi's class and Mrs. Federish's class, so they fix everything. Don't worry. What I'm trying to convey here is that I accord more importance to learning from mistakes than by completing challenging problems. And in case you're wondering how my students react to me making mistakes again and again and again, you would be surprised to know that right when I make a mistake and I apologize for it, a voice from across the room says, "It's okay, Ms. Harshita, we all make mistakes." Which brings us to my second most favorite quality in a person, kindness. Having a very average intellect and skill level, I survived my full-time teaching job, coupled with the responsibility of 2 kids, aging parents, about 1 million emails weekly, because the people around me my students, their parents, my colleagues, and my family members are all helpful, generous, and forgiving. Kill with kindness is what I found myself quoting last month to a colleague over lunch. I understand the reservations of those who do not want to buy this fully, but like I said before, I'm just sharing my experiences. To further add to my list of follies, the number of times this graduating class has had to remind me of recording their stock investment values, and the number of times they say, "No problem," when I say I forgot to check their Unit 4 upgrade for the 7th time is astounding. Dear graduates, your kindness is just one of the many things that you'll be remembered for. Omar, I have not taught you a single class in the 2 years that you've been here. Lucky, right? But I've learned from you that one does not forget to smile in the face of adversity. Rawan, you may not have dressed up like a Kazakh for International Day, but your progressiveness, generosity, and your fighter spirit are some of the core values that, to me, define a Kazakh. Jara, oh, wait a minute. Can we go back to the mistake-making part? At the risk of being mocked by Mr. Tanner, I would say you are the most chill around here. Jokes apart, you have an enviable calm air of being in control at all times, probably because you truly believe in your abilities. Speaking of words and learning, I'd like you to know that my students are so kind that they help me learn new words on a regular basis so that I appear less ignorant in front of Mr. Ford. The 2 most recent words added to my vocabulary are homies and doozy. Moving on. Joseph, who's not here today, but deserves a mention because I feel something is terribly right in that Tanner household, as I've never met a person before who has been more accepting of people that are different from him. Mustafa, your confidence is inspiring, while your humility astonishing. Additionally, your persuasiveness is a gift that you never take undue advantage of. Janelle, the student council of next year will not be the same without their hardworking president, who, in Mr. Staley's word, is a leader because she listens actively. On another note, I hope that after you complete your fashion business education, you will return here one day and provide some real competition to my husband here. Boita, you present a perfect example of balance that is achieved by design, not accident. Whether it was friendship or work, you always knew how to maintain the equilibrium. Justin, I've enjoyed every moment of getting to know you. The best memories were made while playing taboo and solving puzzles when everyone in the class wanted you in their team. Problem solving with excellent group interaction are just two of the qualities that set you apart. Gayatri, apart from always overflowing with empathy, you were truly the binding force between the left and the right factions of the yearbook team this year. Jangir, it was refreshing to see in a student qualities like honesty and fairness in such great measure. Your enthusiasm towards learning for the sake of learning, not for grades, has been uplifting for your teachers. Karthik, in the 2 years that I've gotten to know you, I've been a fan of your organization and focus at everything you do. You have been a diligent student and an amazing friend. Nazarke, from being a timid 13-year-old that came to the school with almost no English and went on to do AP research in a matter of only 5 years, you are a perfect example of what effort can achieve. Growth and creativity spring from the risks that one takes while treading on the path of life. When one is surrounded by people that are accepting and forgiving, this risk-taking becomes easier. Benevolence, in my opinion, is highly contagious if you have not contracted it yet. Dear class of 2019, with this, I beckon you to go out there, make your mistakes, learn from them, enchant the world with your poise and compassion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harshita. Before we get to this year's student speakers, I'm going to just give the first of two pieces of advice, and hopefully this one will connect for the student speakers. Recently, my mother-in-law was given an award by a major medical organization for over 40 years of treating young people from 2 months to 24 years who have severe disabilities. Her work has spanned 6 continents, and she's had the opportunity to treat some of the world's wealthiest families, but just as, and in fact more importantly, some of the poorest of the poor. Her philosophy, I think, offers us a great deal to think about today. And she's 3,000 miles away, so she knows that I'm speaking about her, I'm sure. But my mother-in-law would be very proud that I'm mentioning her in a graduation speech. She sums up her philosophy as this: always wanting to give more than she takes. And I think this is good advice, but I think we need to focus on both parts of that sentence. It is absolutely important, especially in today's world, to give our hearts, minds, and bodies to worthy causes that bring us together. But that is only half of it. And the focus of my advice is this: the phrase is not "don't take, only give," or "always give and never receive," but rather to strive to give more than you're taking. What this implies is that there are times when you'll need to take advice. You'll need a helping hand. You'll need the opportunity for someone to be a listener and to open up their ears to listen to your problems, your issues, or whatever you're going through in life. One of the biggest gifts that we can give to you as an international community is the opportunity to learn from each other, take new viewpoints, help shape your own. And it is in my firm belief that in taking more, we have the ability to fulfill the second part, which is giving more. So with that, I would like to introduce our student speakers. And as the student speakers are speaking, graduates, my advice would be to listen to their words, but also think about how those words might be true in 5, 10, 15 months, 2 years. The world is now a small place. And how you can reach out to them and help them and get help at any point. Both of today's speakers are exemplary students and models of what we're trying to fulfill here at QSI Astana, and it is my great honor to introduce Ruwan.
So, this is it, the final frontier. Guys, we made it. Finally, one last leap and we're there. We're done. The journey to this moment was long and perilous. Obstacles and challenges kept popping up everywhere, almost like zips in a teenager's face. Senioritis came early for us. Never-ending sleepless nights plagued our school years as we desperately tried to complete our units and stay on top of the game. There were a few minor hiccups in forms of mild nervous breakdowns, and sure, dropping out was always a topic of discussion. But we persevered, and not without the help of people around us. So, friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears as I give thanks to the people who guided us on this crusade. To Mr. Ford, Mr. Tanner, and Mr. Gaucher, I give thanks for, quote unquote, putting up with our BS as my classmates wanted me to deliver. To Mr. Schenk, Mr. Staley, and Mr. Peters, for finding humor and positivity in all situations. To Ms. Rashida and Dr. Garalde, for lightening our days with heartfelt life stories. To Ms. Anar, Ms. Adia, and Mr. Simul, for listening to our life discussions. To Dr. Applegate, Mr. Federich, and Ms. Talchi, for helping us navigate our last year of high school. And last, but certainly not least, our parents, for being there for us in our darkest times. Now, I want to bring the attention back to us. After all, this is kind of about us. I remember when I first transferred here 4 years ago. I knew no one and nobody knew me. We did not communicate. In fact, we had the reputation of being one of the quietest freshman classes to ever grace the halls of QSI Astana. No matter how much the teachers tried to shake us up and get us to talk, we stayed silent. You could hear crickets in the background. We were that quiet. Our class was divided into 2 camps that barely ever interacted. Sometimes lone messengers would cross the wide paths between the desks when we had to collaborate for a class project, but that was pretty much it. But as the years went by, they blew life into our class. Dictionary, taboo, Uno became both our battlegrounds and our bonding moments. Our lives intertwined more and more. Debates became a regular occurrence, sure, but laughter was not far behind. New friends joined us, old friends left us. Nevertheless, we continue to stand and sit here as one, ready to face our futures. And so I can honestly and confidently declare that it is an honor to graduate alongside all of you. Life has brought us here from all corners of the world and let us grow in each other's company. So, my dear classmates, my fellow graduates, thank you for continuing this journey with me. Now, life is pushing us to create and pave our own separate paths, as different as they may be. I hope these paths cross once more and we meet again. And remember, as cliche as this might sound, you are the master of your own destiny. So go out there, lead and create. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Jadiger. We're very happy that he will be joining us, and he's a little nervous.
Okay. I see my life as a book. Every day is a page and every year is a chapter. In fact, the day I came to the school, a new chapter in my book began. I was eating my lunch alone because I could not talk with anybody. But one great gray-haired lady approached me and asked me how I was doing. Later on, I found out that she was one of the founders and directors of QSI Astana. This was something that I never experienced in my previous schools. I studied for 6 years in public schools, and I've never seen directors meeting students because their offices were locked or considered restricted zones. In fact, students would go there if they only got in trouble. But what surprised me even more, I felt like I was thrown into open ocean of new ideas and views. My ideas, or more precisely ideas of my community, were challenged. I was offended, and I was mad. That somebody had dared to think differently. But I loved it, because think different races and religions interact with each other, and finding compromises between themselves was something that I could never experience staying in normal public school. I felt supported, but most importantly, I felt trusted. This type of trust came from my dear teachers and my classmates. I could share my stupid, weird, offensive questions and would not be judged, but instead, I would get a critical view that would help me to look from other side and help me to answer those questions. I'm not the brightest, but I can assure you guys, you're one of the nicest people I ever met. Time will change us, but we should remain loyal to our principles. Most importantly, be nice to each other, so that we will not lose ourselves in an open world full of wonderful and awful things. Our school's chapters are coming to the end, but our stories begin now. We have so many unwritten pages that have to be filled. Life is unpredictable, but we should remain strong to serve others and enjoy our lives. In the end, I want to end with a quote by Eleanor Roosevelt, which she said, "If life were predictable, it would cease to be life, and without before."
Next today, we have the invitation of youth that will be delivered by Mr.
Happy Choice Day. Dear graduates, parents, and distinguished guests, I would like to congratulate you on the successful complete year. My name is Henrik, and I'm graduated from State University of New York, and now supporting the research work at Nazarbayev University. I'm here to share the worldwide experience of youth who went through the program called Junior Youth Empowerment Program. I was part of it as well as I was since I was aged 11 to 15. After successful completion of the program, at 17, I felt the urge to help kids in my neighborhood to organize a group and learn when they can do the change, the world to a better place. The declaration I will read for you, let me share the declaration with the graduates. There is a declaration form. Okay, so the declaration I will read for you now is written by this similar group of youth who are not children anymore, but not yet adults. They feel the growing power in themselves, and they believe that they can make the change. Youth declaration. We're no longer children and should seriously think about our future. The world in which we live is filled with suffering and afflicted with disability. We want to build a new world where people live in harmony and where war and poverty no longer exist. In order to build a new world, we should begin with our own community. That is why we now speak about material and spiritual progress of our small village, Alegrias. To progress materially, we should improve our agriculture, take better care of our health, have more schools, and be active in business and industry. With the fruits of our labors, we should turn our homes, our village, and our surroundings into places of great beauty, where we can all enjoy a clean and sanitary environment. Material progress for all people is not attainable if we do not achieve spiritual progress. Without spirituality, a few become rich, while the rest
continue to live in poverty. To reach our goals, as a community, we should be united, act with justice, cooperate, and be friendly with one another, and be generous, honest, and trustworthy. Justice, generosity, love and kindness, honesty, and trustworthiness are spiritual qualities through which we achieve both material and spiritual progress. It is not only to build a better world that we need spiritual qualities. We also need them for the life of our soul, which does not end on this earth. Material and spiritual progress means that each day we strive for excellence in the material and spiritual aspects of our lives, that we work hard to build a just and peaceful world, and that we prepare ourselves and for an eternal life of joy and happiness. What I want to say, I want to see how you young graduates bring an invaluable change, not only to the place where you guys live, but also to the whole world through your profession, through acts of good deeds, and through great humility conduct. Thank you very much.
Now we will begin the presentation of diplomas. I would like graduates to simply think not only of what has been given to them, but where they are headed. Hearing the list of universities that they will attend around the world gives me great pride as an educator and as a human being. So with that, graduates, please line up. Parents, we will take enough time so that you can come up and get a close-up photo if you would like. Each graduate will be read along with the university that they are attending.
Jara Abdul Karim. Jara will be attending Brunel University in London, England. Rowan Beavitt. Rowan will be attending Jakobs University in Bremen, Germany. Omar El-Rafai. Omar will be attending the University of Waterloo in Canada. Justin Friesen. Justin will be taking part in the One Life program in Pennsylvania in the U.S. Wojciech Joza. Wojciech will be attending Czech Agricultural University in the Czech Republic. Jangir Kojakmet. Jangir will be attending Cambridge in the UK. Gayatri Reju Menon. Gayatri will be attending St. Joseph's College in Bangalore, India. Karthik Ramalingam. Karthik will be attending the University of Canberra in Canberra, Australia. Janelle Takabayeva. Janelle will be attending Global Business School in Barcelona, Spain. Nazarke Tajagali. Ms. Urke will be attending the International University of Geneva in Switzerland. Mustafa Sami Turkilmaz. Mustafa will be attending Vienna University of Economics and Business. I also want to mention Joseph Tanner, who is very much part of this class of 2019, but who has already returned to the US.
Let's give one big round of applause for all of our graduates with diplomas in hand. I want to share a few final thoughts and one piece of advice that shows that the power of giving and never knowing when it will show up again in the future is a valuable thing. All of you on stage today have achieved an incredible amount. Hearing Rowan and Jean-Guerre talk about coming here not knowing any English and learning English in such a short amount of time, interacting with different cultures, conquering AP seminar and research, but most of all, developing into truly magnificent young people. I beg you, in fact, I implore you to seek out moments such as this. 7 years ago, I was traveling through an airport and decided to try to get the Chinese takeout. That's usually a poor choice. Before boarding my flight, I saw the Chinese takeout place that I'd gone to hundreds of times, but as I reached the front of the line to pay, I heard someone yell out, "Mr. Petrish!" And to my surprise, it was Pembe. Pembe was a student from Turkey who entered my classroom not knowing a single word of English. And in fact, at that point, she was the only Turkish speaker in our entire school of 2,400 students. And now, here she was, serving me Chinese food in a busy restaurant inside an airport. She proceeded to offer me everything but the cash register for free. We exchanged pleasantries. She reached over the counter to give me a quick hug, thanking me, and thanking the school for everything it had done for her. And that in itself isn't remarkable. But what is remarkable is what I heard next. The person behind me in line said, "Who was that?" And she responded, "That was my teacher." The lady in line paused and said, "Man, how my life would have been different if I had had a teacher like that." And by the way, today, Pembe goes by the title Dr. Pembe Altinas, graduating with a PhD in pharmaceuticals from the University of Colorado. So why did I tell this story? Very simply, I was able to take Pembe for who she was, a very lonely 15-year-old girl, and try to help, accept, work with her, and in some small way, guide her. And in return, the only thing that she could offer me is a moment that I will remember forever. So my advice is certainly seek wealth, seek degrees, seek success, but also seek moments such as these. Graduates, please rise. As we end today, our graduates will walk off stage and go outside in the traditional throwing of the hat picture. We'll have a small reception with finger food, tea, and a chance to socialize. Graduates, our parent support group has gotten you each an individualized gift. Over this past year, I've been thankful for all of the support that the Parent Support Group has given us as a school, as teachers, and as a community. But right now, as we're about to exit the stage, in the United States, we have one final tradition. Graduates, please turn your tassels from right to left to signify that you are now a graduate.
Можно будет завершить. А то можно будет сейчас начать. Или давай эту музыку оставим. Браво!